Well, Dan, you've been so close to that big result. What does it mean to get it over the line tonight?
Yes, long time coming, I would say, after many good results, good performances, but we were not able to translate this also into results. Great shift from the lads today, and they were on it from the first to the last second. I think in the end, of course, a game where Chelsea had more possession, but in the end, I would say also a well-deserved win with many chances, many shots on target, many expected goals. So I think we deserve to win this game.
You have to be honest, they were much better than us in all the aspects. There is nothing that we can take from this game. Probably the only thing we can do is just to review the game, analyze what we did bad and what we need to improve.
Why were they better than you in every aspect, Enzo? Because in terms of quality, they would admit this, Chelsea have more than Leeds.
But you don't win games just with the quality. You need more things. And today they were better than us. Again, this is Premier League. No matter if you are at home, away, against which team, you have always to perform in the right way. Otherwise, you struggle. And tonight's performance was not our standard.
I'm not married to base formations. I'm addicted to principles, and I like once you dominate a league and you're a side who fights for the title to stick a bit more to one base formation, because the players need a bit more safety, especially because you have to rotate perhaps even a bit more, especially once you play in Europe. But if you're a promoted side, you have to adapt a bit to the reality, and the reality is that probably it's fair to say that we are not the side with the highest individual quality, and for that you have to adapt.
What a great result for Leeds. What a great night as well for Daniel Farke. There's been so much speculation about his job. How much? There you go. How much did he need this, Jamie?
Oh, it's absolutely huge for him, because the connection with the fans. You need these what I call blue chip wins, because straight away, look, the fans are with him. They've got Liverpool there the weekend. Can they do something again? He's fallen on a system that really works for them. They were direct today. They were very aggressive. I do think he'd have probably looked at that Chelsea side that Maresca picked and thought to himself, I've got a real chance here tonight.
Did you think that as well?
I thought, I said it at the start. I just felt it was a bit too open. And not only that, really top quality players. You know, I'm a big Esteval's going to be a superstar, and Gittins in the wide areas. And then he played with João Pedro as a pretty much a 10 behind Delap, and Santos and Fernandes in midfield. And I just felt for Santos today that was going to be a big ask. You know, when they haven't got Caicedo, who's the legs, the energy and the heartbeat of that team, they certainly miss him. But the weekend we saw Reece James come to the front, and he was magnificent in there. But obviously you can't keep playing him because of his body, just in case it breaks down. But I thought he left. But I looked at his subs, and I also thought, what else could he have done? It was a very wide open team that was
he's
punished.
trying to protect a couple of players from injury as well.
And it wasn't powerful enough. And then obviously individual mistakes. I think it was Tosin, the one that gives it away. But that will hurt them, because it felt like for Chelsea, people talk about maybe being in a title race, 2 steps forward, and they get chin tonight, and it will really hurt. But I just felt it maybe a little bit self-inflicted. They were too wide open, and sometimes you go away to places, then maybe it might be a Neto come on at half-time, I think, for Esteval, where you just change it. And do you need that experience to go? You know what it's like going to Elland Road? It's horrible. You know, it's really difficult to go there.
Does it feel like a bit of a step back after what we've seen from Chelsea in recent weeks?
I don't think the project is. It's not a step back in the project. No. It's a step back in tonight's performance. But Caicedo and James are their most trusted defensive midfielders, and not having them in there, to me, when I saw the midfield, I thought this is too attacking. They look like they're too explorative versus being sort of in their positions, and that's what you get with Caicedo and James. You get that solidity there. So for me, I was a bit concerned with that, and I think, again, when you are going against a team away who are fighting for their lives, you know it's going to be a tough game. The fans are up, they're firing. You've got the players who know what's at stake, and they probably sense an opportunity. And that's when you do need experienced players, whereas maybe Santos can develop into a top player, but you kind of sometimes need that older general who can come in and shore things up and keep the players a little bit more relaxed and talk and all of that, and they missed that tonight.
But they don't have that, do they, really?
They don't have it, but they need that in moments like this, in terms of where the process is going. Trust the process, of course. Trust the process. But you need those figures. In every dressing room I've been in, you've always had 1 or 2 older players at every football club I've been at. So you need that. As younger players, you need to look to an older guy. They had a Thiago Silva in the past who was there, and he's that older general you can lean on and go, what do you think? And I think now they're lacking that. Squad overall, beautiful for the future. Love to see it. Can't wait to see how they evolve. But when you lose a Reece James, you lose a Caicedo in there, you need that older head to come in, I think.
So all in all, very good night for Arsenal.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, yeah, apart from last night with Manchester City winning, which I can't see anything apart from those two teams, if I'm honest. Man City are going to be the ones that can maybe run Arsenal close, but that was a big win for them today.
What a performance then from Leeds. Huge disappointment for Chelsea fans, especially when they take a look at the table. Look at the gap now between Arsenal and Chelsea. 9 points. Between the two, of course, Chelsea were kind of declared as the title contenders after what we saw at the weekend. But of course, that defeat, along with City and Aston Villa winning, meaning the Maresca's side dropped to 4th in the table. Blooming heck, Craig, where this come from?
They're 3 points behind Villa, who couldn't win a game at the start of the season. I thought they were excellent for the most part at the weekend against Arsenal.
I think everybody did. So that's why it's almost a bigger disappointment now if you're a Chelsea fan, because you think, well, if we could do that against 10 men against Arsenal, what the heck are we doing today?
What I don't get, and we just see this all the time now, a lot, is 2 of the best players that they've had, and certainly from the weekend, Neto, who's one of the most dangerous players. All right, Esteval is a youngster who does some brilliant stuff, but Neto's been consistently playing well for them. And Reece James, and I know he's had a lot of injuries, right? But not recently. He looks back to peak fitness. He looks sharp, he looks strong. He was playing in midfield against Arsenal, and he was excellent. Really calm, good passing in the ball, all that sort of stuff. Those 2 were on the bench tonight.
Yeah.
Because somebody's telling managers, and we know who they are, they played in the weekend, they've got a lot of big games coming up. But you've got to put some momentum together.
Yeah.
You've got to put a run of results. You've got to keep putting the pressure on. And you're not going to do that, or you're unlikely to do it, if you're leaving your best players out. Chelsea are not good enough, right, to leave their best players out. Maybe City a few years ago when they were dominating English football.
Arsenal today could do it, obviously.
Arsenal could do it because they're at the top of the league. They've got a little bit of a gap, and they've got a really strong squad. And they're at home, to Brentford. Yeah. They're away to Leeds. I think Augie was saying just before we came on, Leeds have lost, 1 game?
Once at home in about 18 months. So, I mean, like you say, you're going to Elland Road against a team that's fighting for points. You don't rest your best players. There's certain games you pick and choose, in home games when you've got an easier afternoon. But Leeds away, silly.
But it just seems we see this a lot now. And, that'll be the excuse from Maresca will come out, and I'm sure some of the journals will say, well, what about your team selection, Marg? Listen, I've got a lot of games, injuries. When you play like how... So, Chelsea, they beat Burnley away. It wasn't a great game, but they ground that out. Mm-hmm. They were excellent against Barcelona. They were excellent against Arsenal with 10 men. As a player, you just want to keep going. You never really feel tired when you're winning. The tiredness only comes mentally when you're in this sort of losing, a bit like Liverpool, who had a real struggle. So I just don't understand. And Caicedo wasn't available, but that's not the reason that they lost today. They just got outworked by Leeds, and I think made at least too many changes.
No team's going to be able to put a run of 12, 13 games together the way City did the last few years. When you keep continually changing the team every time it steps on the field. I was talking about standards that Chelsea set against Arsenal, but then they step on the field with changes up front, changes in the middle, albeit forced in the middle, and changes at the back. So how are you expected to keep your standards up when you're making all these changes? I mean, it makes no sense at all. And again, and I've said it a million times, how about you start Reece James and you start Neto, and then when you see them looking as though they're a little tired, then you take them off. Do it the other way. Don't bring them on for the last half an hour when it's too late and you're chasing the game. I mean, it's just, people talk to us about, you're old school. Well, there's a lot of things that used to happen that were the right things, and they worked. But all of a sudden, everybody's thrown them out the window, and this is how we do it now. Well, guess what? The way you're doing it now, particularly Maresca, it's not working.
See, last season it was different because he had the Conference League, so what he would do, he would play his best players in the Premier League, and basically the other 12 or 13 would play in the Conference League, so that's how he was getting his games in. But now, obviously, Champions League, you can't treat the Champions League like the Conference League, so he has to play all these players, and he's probably rotating too much, isn't he? There's no consistency there. Like at the weekend, Shalabrand Fofana against Arsenal at centre-half played really well. Changes it. Why he's doing it, I don't know. But he's probably thinking, well, I've got Christmas coming up, a lot of games. We've got a game at the weekend, game in the Champions League next week. He's just made the wrong call at the wrong time.
Arsenal, meanwhile, loving life.
Yeah.
You've got a makeshift back four pretty much, but you go in, the squad is so full of confidence. They didn't look like losing today really at all, did they?
Well, I think the key for Arsenal, when Mosquera went off injured, he puts on Timber at right back, so Ben White then goes from right back to centre half, and you don't even notice the join. But they're missing Saliba, they're missing Gabriel. They've got so much depth. I think they lack a bit of X factor, a bit of star quality in terms of what Chelsea have got, that explosiveness. But they're rock solid, and at every position, apart from maybe Odegaard in midfield, they've got cover for, and that's why the 5 points at the top of the league and looking really strong.
And you've got Marina coming in, making an impact.
They finally got their number 9, didn't they? I mean, I bet Gyökeres was sitting thinking, I wish I was getting some of those crosses. I mean, he did get one at the end against Chelsea that Timber took off his head.
Yeah.
But he does do a great job. He is against Chelsea in the first half. Nobody gave the ball away, I think, for Arsenal more than Moreno. And then he pops up with important goals, and he did again tonight. He's done a great job for Mikel Arteta. Look, it's theirs to lose, isn't it? Even this early in the season, it's theirs to lose.
Can we just take a look at the Premier League table again, just to remind, like Chelsea, after the Chelsea game, we go, well, maybe they could push it, maybe they could do something. But it just feels like one result has completely changed that narrative.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, maybe we kind of got too excited about the performance Chelsea gave us against Arsenal, because we had been talking all season about how you can't really trust them. We know what they're capable of, but they don't always show it. And then they produce that performance against Arsenal, and you think, okay, they because of the problems that we know City have, that's why we've kind of not discarded them, but we know the problems. Okay, now we've got somebody who maybe we can hang our hat on, who can actually put some pressure on Arsenal, who can chase them, force them into doing things they maybe wouldn't do. But then they turn round, the manager picks the wrong team, the players that do play don't produce certainly the intensity was nowhere close to what it was against Arsenal. And so we're kind of back to where we started.
Yeah, we're kind of picking and choosing who we think are the next title contenders. Manchester City, OK, sitting second, but we saw yesterday that vulnerability at the back. It's difficult to put an argument as to why consistently they're going to put a run together.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Villa. I mean, Villa maybe, if Villa beat Arsenal at the weekend, then maybe Villa are back in it, but they've never been in it in the first place, so you wouldn't trust Villa to be the challengers. And Man City, like you say, unreliable at the back. And if Erling Haaland gets injured or misses any period of time, then who scores the goals? So, for me, Arsenal are the best team, and I can't think of a league season like this in many years whereby the second best team has been so far off the best team. There's just not a direct challenger. There's nobody there that you can... I mean, the league is so poor this year that Liverpool and Man United could both qualify for the Champions League, which is crazy considering how they've had the season so far.
I mean, we were sitting here, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, whatever it was, talking about City, and people were saying, well, you're talking about the defence, and their defensive record at the time wasn't that bad. And it wasn't. They were saying, well, but that's the last 3 or 4 games, that's gone out the window. It's completely gone out the window. I mean, they were hanging on against Leeds.
10. We lost 10 goals in the last 4 games.
So, I mean, that...
City could do business in January. A lot of clubs, I think, are looking at the window, but City they've got headroom to spend. They like Semenyo at Bournemouth. They like Elliot Anderson. I don't think...
Semenyo's not a defender.
Didn't they do a lot of business last January?
Yeah, and in the summer.
And where are they?
Where's Mamouche?
They're all sat in the stand.
How can you be in a position, a club like,
over there?
How can you be in a position, a club like Man City? You know you were losing some of your key fullbacks. You had the summer to address it. They're still playing Matheus Nunes at right back, and and Nico O'Reilly at left back. He's a very good player, but he's not a left back. No. You signed that Nouri from Wolves in the summer. I mean, I'm fed up saying this. He's a good footballer going forward. He can't defend.
Well, what City have done, they've signed lots of players over the last 2 or 3 windows who haven't been as good as the ones that they replaced.
Yeah.
Substantially different, certainly in terms of De Bruyne and Reinders. But for me, they haven't addressed the Rodri situation. Rodri, to me, looks like he's really struggling to get over his injury. And they brought in Nico Gonzalez in January, hasn't done well. They were expecting Rodri to be back this season, and Rodri would have kind of locked the door in front of the defence. He's not fit, he's struggling, and that has left a real problem in the team. So I think if City can address that in the window, like I said, they like Elliot Anderson. Are they £100 million for the midfield in January? I can't see Forest selling, but if they get something like that in, and Semenyo, then that would give City a bit of a
But how can that's going to be tough, though.
Absolutely.
You're talking about a Ballon d'Or winner.
Who, Elliot Anderson?
Yeah. I mean, Rodri's a guy that won the Ballon d'Or who gets a bad injury, and it's going to take time when he comes back. I mean, even You know they've been scouting, you know they're looking at people, but they're never going to. You can't replace Ballon d'Or.
He came back in June, and they were expecting this season that he was having his kind of pre-season in June at the Club World Cup, get a couple of games under his belt, and they expected by the start of this season, or certainly by now, he'd be back playing again. Right. And he's just struggling. He's picking lots of injuries, hamstring problems. So clearly, I mean, he's had a cruciate, it's a bad injury, so he's clearly struggling to get back to anywhere near his best.
But that's a big ask for any player. I don't care how good you are, to come in and all of a sudden the back door's one player, the back line's protected. They knew the full-back position has been key for them, and key for them tactically as well, how he plays his full-backs. I mean, they're all doing it now. Most of them are copying him. Aye. But didn't even he say it, Guardiola, that, you know, if you look at Arsenal, for example, we look at their back line. Yeah, their full-backs will want to get forward, but ultimately you could argue certainly Calafiore is a centre-back. But the Timber and Calafiore, their first job and their first mindset is defending. Everything else is a bonus after that. And I think that's the right mentality to have. Guardiola seems to have the opposite, whereas he wants these attacking players and the full-back position, and it's leaving the rest of the other two centre-halves exposed. I mean, how can you be 5-1 up? I mean, Fulham, to be fair, had only lost, I think, 4 goals. So the fact is City...
Leeds delivered a statement at Elland Road. A superb, disciplined performance saw Daniel Farke's side overcome Chelsea 3-1 in a result that will send shockwaves through Stamford Bridge. Chelsea were expected to take control, but from the first whistle, Leeds were ruthless. Let's break down the key moments from this huge Premier League clash. Leeds struck early, and it was a thunderous start. Just 6 minutes in, Josko Bijol rose highest to meet a perfect delivery into the box. The centre-half powered his header past Robert Sanchez, and Leeds were off to the perfect start. What a way to announce yourself in front of the home crowd. The first half drama wasn't finished. In the 43rd minute, Tanaka stepped up and scored a sensational goal. Positioned just outside the D, he unleashed a powerful strike into the corner past Sanchez. Precision, power, and timing, a goal that would have any coach jumping for joy. Leeds 2-0, and Chelsea were facing a mountain to climb. Chelsea tried to respond after the break, and they got one back through Pedro Neto. A clever cross from Jamie Gitton over the 6-yard box found the half-time substitute at the far post. Neto controlled, touched, and fired it home. 2-1, game on, and for a moment, Chelsea looked like they could get back into it. But Leeds were not done. In the 72nd minute, Dominic Calvert-Lewin put the result beyond doubt. A defensive miscue from Malo Gusto gifted Tosin Adarabioyo the ball, and after Sanchez parried Noah Okafor's shot, Calvert-Lewin tapped home the rebound into an empty net. 3-1, Leeds had sealed a deserved victory. From start to finish, Leeds controlled the tempo, punished Chelsea's mistakes, and showed tremendous belief. Chelsea, meanwhile, were disappointing, sloppy, slow, and unable to break down a well-organised Leeds side. Full time, Leeds 3, Chelsea 1. A huge result for Farke, and a performance his team can be proud of. This was a huge day for Leeds and a real wake-up call for Chelsea. Farke's men showed resilience, intelligence, and ruthlessness, taking 3 points that could define their season. Chelsea will have plenty to think about, while Leeds celebrate a landmark victory at home. Make sure to subscribe to Sport Lab for more match recaps, tactical breakdowns, and all the Premier League drama delivered straight to you. Elland Road made a statement today, and we were here to witness it.